Delhi Capitals beat the Punjab Kings by 7 wickets. Aksh, you were right about it early on, and Shikhar Dhawan showed a masterclass and really proved that why he is the king of white ball cricket in Indian circuit.
Yes, absolutely. The way he played and the way he carried out his innings, if you see, he played the dominant, dormant role when Prithvi was going, and then suddenly when he got out, he started hitting those boundaries, and especially the way he targeted Bishnoi. I think the first 3 overs he didn't try too much on him, but the last over he straight away went after him, and I think that's what the experience is all about when you have played this level of cricket for such a long time, and he was very well supported by Prithvi. Then again, Steve Smith staged a very little but a very important partnership in the context of game, as in they didn't lose any wickets, and I think that's all his role has been throughout. Because with a lot of hitters in the form of Prithvi and Shikhar and then Pant, Hitmaya, someone needs to play that role, and I think he's been steadying the ship really well and not giving away his wicket too early. So I think all in all a very clinical and a very easy chase.
That is true. That is true. A very easy chase in the end. We thought that the pitch would offer a bit more, and we saw a bit of glimpse of the pitch playing its part in the middle. We saw Riley Meredith. He bowled really well, letting that last over go where Hitmire wanted to go home early. So he really finished the match off in the second last over. But speaking of Meredith, he has that extra pace, Aksh. So do you think he needs to bowl a different line, because when you bowl on the good length, the ball is skidding for a Riley Meredith. So do you think he needs to bowl a bit back of length, because the way he's bowling, it's pretty easy for the batsman to play on the up?
I think he bowled really well with the new ball, and especially
Yeah.
bowling to someone like a great player like Dhawan and Prithvi both. He bowled a really tight line and very tight lines. The thing you were talking about, he was hitting that waistline, and that's
Yes.
where it's very tough to hit, and especially when someone is bowling 125 clicks. And I think he did a really good job. He also got the wicket of Steve Smith coming back. But you cannot say much about the last over because anyway he had to go for wickets. So because match was pretty much over only. But I was really happy the way he bowled the first couple of overs and he set the tone really well. Had he been supported from the other end well by Shami or say Vishnu and got a wicket, that would have been really tough for them because then they needed to try something else. But it was happening like he bowled a good over, then a couple of boundaries in the other overs. So that
Yeah.
was making things easy for them. But the way he's improving match after match, I think it's a really good sign for Punjab.
It is a very good sign. Riley Meredith finally paying off dividends on Indian wickets. And speaking of good bowling, we saw Harpreet Barar yet again. The boy from Punjab. You spoke about him, how aggressive he is as a bowler. What do you have to say about his performance today? He bowled really well, Aksh. Not bowled his full over of four quota of 4 overs,
I
but
think that's really, really surprising for me because no
yeah,
matter what, who is bowling or who's batting, if someone is bowling that good, you cannot just not bowl the fourth over for him. I think that's a big technical mistake if you ask me because
yeah,
anyway, he was bowling well to Shikhar Dhawan as well. He was not going for boundaries or he was not giving easy runs and he was getting those dot balls as well. Because if you
yes,
see, even Bishnoi went for 42. So someone who has gone for 3 over 19 runs and given a wicket, and he was looking the most likely to get a wicket because he was
yes, he
turning
was.
the ball over and he was hitting very hard lengths. If you see, Bishnoi was today, for a change, bowling too full. He's known to
Yes,
bowl a little short, but today he was bowling a little bit much fuller. But if you see Harpreet Brar, his lengths were literally awesome. It was like if you are stepping out, it's still a bit far away from you, and if you're in the crease, then it's again that baseline which is tough to hit. So I really
exactly.
don't see a guy they didn't bowl in the fourth over, and the way he has been bowling, I think that's a very good sign for Punjab and his personal future as well because the way he has been bowling and his ability with the bat as well. And I think
Yes,
I was very surprised to see him not coming and Jordan coming instead of him. That was also a very surprising move to me because in the last match
yes.
itself he hit a couple of good sixes and got those 20 extra runs against RCB. So I think he, on his part, is doing a tremendous job, but they need to be much more smarter on how to use them or how to
Yes,
use him.
Aksh.
Sorry.
Definitely, definitely. How to use him is very important for Punjab. And we saw her, Harpreet when he bowled one ball to Steve Smith and he got a leading edge. You don't see a Steve Smith give you a leading edge, and it just fell short and it went for a single, although. But the way he bowled, he's looking in good form, he's looking in control, and he's looking really positive. As a frame of mind, he's really sure of what he's doing. Like we often speak of, bowlers in good confidence and positive approach. And he's bowling really well. Now, speaking of the bowlers who didn't perform well because Ravi Bishnoi, we all expected a lot from him. Like you said, he bowled really full. Then we had a Mohammad Shami whose plans were completely taken apart by Prithvi Shaw and the thrashing that he gave him. My God, a player of Mohammad Shami's stature and reputation, he was taken to the cleaners. What do you have to say? What? How does a player come back from such a beating?
I think again, Shami is also looking like a little out of sorts because he's not that kind of a bowler. We all know his abilities, but I think being the main bowler, he is too much burdened with the pressure of taking the wickets, and I think
Yeah,
that's where he is leaking runs. Because if you see in the past, he was having good partners at the other end, and that was helping him. But I think he's taking too much pressure of getting those wickets, and that's why he's leaking two away boundary balls and which someone like Prithvi or someone like a Shikhar will not lose. They will definitely, even if you make the slightest of mistake, they'll pay you. And the way Prithvi is hitting the ball, I think that's amazing. And if you see the first 6 overs where the match was mostly won, they could have come back, but
yeah.
there had to be a huge blunder from Delhi's side also when they needed 100 from 14 overs with all 10 wickets in hand. So I think the power play itself, and it's all been about the power play. If you see these matches, every match which is going on, the team which is batting better in the power play is definitely, more likely to win the matches.
That's a good point you made there. The power play is very important, and as it is, first 6 overs set the base for the next 14 overs. And speaking of today's game, we saw what happened to the Punjab Kings. They hardly got to a great start, 40 for 1 something was their score. And speaking of Delhi Capitals, they were cruising at that point, and they knew what they had to do. And speaking of Prithvi Shaw, just like you said, Prithvi is in such great form that you can't really tell him what to do. I was seeing him in the dugout. He was pretty relaxed. He got hit on the groin once, and still he got up and he was playing such positive cricket. Chris Jordan bowled him a bouncer as we were speaking that why aren't they bowling short to him? And he had an answer for that as well. He pulled him off for the next ball and went for a six. So that way, Prithvi Shaw has found the recipe to score runs in IPL.
I think as a bowler, it's very tough because with the slightest of mistakes, he'll hit you for a boundary, and that's when you are already under pressure even before bowling the ball. Because
Yes.
huge area on the pitch where you cannot bowl. So there's
Yeah.
very little area you have to bowl in, and then with that also you need to have that quality in you. So I think the
Yes.
bowler before bowling the ball is already under a lot of pressure, and that's where the league extra runs also. And the way he has been hitting especially like people were going after him with the short ball, but again he came up with an answer for that. And it was really good to see like Meredith bowled a couple of short balls, but he
Yeah.
actually tugged it. And then this bowler with little less pace, Jordan, he took and hit him for a six. So it's not just bashing all the time from him; it's sensible bashing. And he
Yeah.
knows that he knows, if you see his approach, he knows the bowler is already under pressure. So he is not trying too much. I think if you see last IPL, he was trying to do too much with the new ball, and he was trying to play a lot of shots which were not the best for that ball. But this year, I think he has sorted that thing really well, and he's waiting for something in his arc, and he's got a huge arc, so he doesn't need to
Yeah.
really do much fancy things,
Yeah.
and that's what he's capitalizing on. And the way the start he's giving, if you're chasing 170, 180, and if you are getting those 39 or 22 balls, you have already made things pretty much easier with the batting lineup coming up.
Definitely, and it was a perfect chase. They executed it to perfection. Great batting from Shikhar Dhawan. He retains his position as a top scorer in this season and gets the orange cap for himself for the next game at least. Now, speaking of the changes and the game plan ahead, Punjab will be playing on the Royal Challengers Bangalore. They played them a couple of games ago, a couple of days ago, I think, and they won the game.
Yeah.
But now the task is even difficult. It's more tougher because the higher you go, the later half of the tournament is the testing period of character and the skill as well. So what are your thoughts? How would Punjab go about, because missing KL Rahul, Mayank is inexperienced as a captain. Chris Gale is not opening. The opening problems are still there. The bowling department as it is letting down. So that's, I think, the most difficult task for them is to sort their team problems together.
Yes, definitely. They have a good team, but they really need to find that combination. If you ask me,
Yeah,
I would definitely love to see Mayank opening with Gale and David
yeah,
Manan on three. I think this is the best they can have and the best possible first three which can lay that platform for them.
correct.
And the
Correct.
middle order really has to step up because if you see last 5 6 matches, Huda has been getting out really cheaply. Again, Shah
Yes.
Rukh Khan also after the first couple of matches, he's also giving away his wicket easily. They are not closing off well. their openers are closing up well. If you see KL Rahul closed up well, today Mayank closed up well, but no one from the middle order is closing them off. So they really need to, step it up, and instead of, being dependent on someone like KL or Gale or Mayank to finish it, they should really look themselves to do that job, because and it's not a huge job. Like we talked about today, had it been someone getting 40 on 30, it's easier
Yeah,
said than done, but it's still manageable because everyone is experienced in that lineup. They have
that's
played a
true.
lot of IPL. Someone like Deepak Hooda, who's played a lot of IPLs, I think it's really important he understands this role, and because that is the, those are the few overs where you change the course of the match. And if you lose wickets like they have been losing, that's really worrisome thing for them. It's pretty much similar to what KKR has been doing, losing a
Yes,
lot of overs in the wickets in the middle overs, and that's where you lose half of the match. So I
that's
think
true.
they need to sort out their combinations when they have a pretty good playing 11. But they need to sort out who needs to bowl those crucial overs, who need to bowl in the
Correct.
power play, and what's their best batting order. So I think if they sort that out, things will be easy for them, because sometimes it's like when you see them, they seem out of options. It's like you don't know who's gonna bowl, you don't know who's padded up and who's gonna come next. Like if
Correct.
you see Deepak Hooda was padded as well for the
Yeah,
left-right combination too.
yeah,
But I understand that left-right combination. But a David Manan, he's a timer of the ball. But someone like a David Manan coming at 5, that doesn't make any sense. Because
that's
he's
true.
not someone he's not a Hetmeyer that he'll come and smash from the first ball itself.
Yeah.
He needs time. So if the right-handed got out at that time, that means you were planning to send him at 5, and that's of no use.
Yes,
Someone
that's
who's
true.
played all his life 2 and 3, you cannot suddenly send him at 5 and 12 overs gone. So
That's
they
true.
really need to sort that lineup well, and I don't think there's much wrong with the lineup, but just the orders and the bowling changes, they need to be really smart about that.
That's absolutely true. And speaking of that, something what Kane Williamson was doing in the previous games for Sunrisers was he's coming too late. There was too little time to do a lot of things. So I think you can relate to it. And even Dinesh Karthik, like how we spoke, बहुत नीचे आ रहा है बैटिंग करने ओवर नहीं मिल
Yes,
रहे हैं. So that's the
definitely.
problem that they are facing, and this is what they need to figure out. And that's why these three teams are in the bottom of the table because they're not utilizing
Exactly,
their
exactly,
resources really well. So if we put it that
exactly.
way. Now speaking of Delhi Capitals, they are on a high. They are in a very good zone. Everyone looks very confident, very happy, and the dugout itself, Ricky Ponting was all smiles. So how would you say that how would they go about this tournament? They probably are the best. They've got the best chance to qualify for the top four. Now I think in the coming matches we could see a couple of changes. A Nokia given a chance probably or something like that. According to you, Aksh?
I think they should not change the team too much. I know what someone like a Nortia, and they have a good bench strength also. And you want to give those people a chance as well. But once you are in that, brilliant combination of those that playing 11. Personally, I think it's not the best to shuffle around too much, because if you remember the Maxwell show in 2015, he was
Yeah.
hitting the ball and was tested for one match, and then after that he couldn't get anything. And I
Yes.
think
Good
that's
point.
playing. And T20 is a momentum game. You're winning, you'll keep winning. You're losing, suddenly you'll start losing everything. I don't
Yeah.
think, obviously, you want to play, we as spectators want to see someone like Notia coming in and bowling those 150 clicks. But once that combination is sorted out, I think there's not much need to shuffle around. And if you see the difference between the top three and the bottom three, that's the only difference. They have everything
Yes.
sorted out, and these guys are still struggling with their
Figuring it
combination.
out.
That's the
Correct.
only thing, because quality of the players is same. So only thing that's sorted out for them, and they're still struggling with that, and that's the difference in the point tables as well.
That's so true what you said that they have figured their combination and Punjab are still on the verge of figuring. They are not sure as to who should play, who not. So yeah. Speaking of tomorrow's game now, we have a good game tomorrow as well. It's the Kolkata Knight Riders versus the Royal Challengers Bangalore. So you think it's a good game because Royal Challengers Bangalore coming out of a defeat, KKR not having the best of seasons. So both teams will be looking for a solitary couple of points.
Yes, definitely. And if you see KKR, they are really out of sorts. But this is the best time for them to capitalize on a team like RCB, which has lost a couple of matches in the last three matches now.
Yeah.
And you have a slight expectations of them not playing spin that well. So
Yes.
they can definitely come up against them in a good plan. And if they're playing in Ahmedabad, so we know this wicket that's going to turn a bit, and that's where RCB's problem lies. So if they bat first and they put up a good total, then I think it will be really tough for RCB to chase because suddenly you get that mindset that we are not able to do this thing well. On a
Yes.
turning track, we are not chasing well. And on a match day, KKR wins the toss, goes little bit out of the box and wants to bat first and gets those 170, 80. Then that's going to be tough for RCB to chase because they're mentally in that zone that they're not doing well in those middle overs on a turning track. And they have a couple of really good spinners in Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan.
Still right,
So
obviously.
that might be the case because if there was some time for KKR to bounce back, this is the time because this is a wicket which is
Yes.
not suited to RCB's kind of play much. They
And
need a
at this
very true
point,
wicket.
yeah,
Sorry, they need a very true wicket to bat on. And suddenly, when things start to happen, the economy and as well the fall of wicket suddenly starts to go
yes.
down. So it's the best time for someone like KKR to get that winning momentum going and capitalize on the better team.
And looking at that points table, KKR have nothing to lose at this moment. They are actually down and out by the looks of it, and they have nothing to lose. So this reverse psychology can play in their favor. And like you said, yes, the pitches have not helped KKR so much. This pitch can help them, and they get the combination right, knowing that RCB are struggling. So yeah, that's a good point that you made there. Thank you very much, Aksh, for joining with me. We had a great chat today and a great session as well. A great match today as well. Delhi Capitals now on the top. I'll see you on the next weekend, hopefully. And thank you for joining with me. Everyone, stay safe, stay at home, wear a mask, don't go out unless it's necessary. And thank you so much, and good night. Bye,
Thank you
Aksh.
very much.